During a season launch in New York, Red Bull Racing revealed what it claimed was its 2023 challenger, the RB19, as well as announcing a new major partnership with Ford beginning in 2026. The car on display, however, appeared to have no visible differences from last year's championship-winning RB18, and even featured 2022 mirrors, which would be illegal for this season as they're too small. With Red Bull being a team that pushes the envelope before signing off on new cars to allow for maximum development time, it was always unlikely that going so early with its launch would result in it showing off its real car. When asked how much of the RB19 on display in New York would be used in Bahrain, Horner admitted that the Friday event was not about its new rival. "I think that the car that we have shown today obviously will be somewhat different to when you see it in Bahrain," he said. "Today was about launching the team's aspirations for the year ahead, the partners that we have, and of course the exciting announcement with the Ford partnership. To do it here in the US, in this market, is the first time ever, obviously, for Red Bull Racing. What you've seen today obviously isn't a total reflection of what will hit the track in Bahrain in a couple of weeks' time." Double world champion Max Verstappen revealed at the car launch that he had not seen the real RB19 yet, and didn't particularly care how different it looked. "To be honest, I haven't seen it," the Dutchman said. "I've only spoken about the performance upgrades in terms of lap time and behavior of the car. I haven't seen any pictures or renders because I'm not interested in these kind of things. I only want a fast car, and it doesn't matter how it looks to me." Aerodynamic testing restrictions were implemented ahead of the 2021 season in tandem with a budget cap in order to inspire a more competitive field and increase the series' financial sustainability. As a result of the ATR sliding scale limiting wind tunnel runs and computational fluid dynamics hours, Red Bull has been hit with a total 25% cut for 2023 after winning the Constructors' Championship last season and being found guilty of exceeding the 2021 cost cap. When asked in an interview how much the slash had hampered the design and development of the RB19, Horner admitted it had given his team a significant disadvantage in staying ahead of nearest rivals Mercedes and Ferrari. "We're doing the best with what we've got. The team has had to adapt to the handicap that we have, and they've done a wonderful job in doing that. Is it enough? We'll find out in a couple weeks' time as a starting point. It's certainly a significant handicap that we carry for the majority of the year, but I think the team have obviously accepted it. We've looked to adapt to ensure we're as efficient as we can possibly be. We'll see when the RB19 runs on the track in anger if we've done enough." Meanwhile, Verstappen stated that the ATR's impact had crossed his mind, but he remains confident in the Adrian Newey-led design team. He went on to say that the aero restrictions should be viewed positively because they reflect Red Bull's run to 17 Grand Prix victories in 2022. "We have a lot of very competent people in our factory," he said. "Of course it makes things a little bit harder, but I also look at it like this. I prefer to be in the position we are in than always finishing second or third in the championship because that's way more depressing. I'm sure we have to be a little bit more precise of what we're doing in the wind tunnel, but I don't expect it to be a big limiting factor in if we're going to win the title or not." Another major announcement from the New York event was that Ford would return to F1 in 2026 after reaching an agreement with Red Bull to collaborate on power units. The partnership will mark Ford's return to Formula One after a 22-year absence, with the last foray coming when it owned the Jaguar team, which was eventually sold to Red Bull in 2004. Ford has remained at the top of motorsport in disciplines such as rallying and sports car racing during its absence from F1. However, the push from F1 to place a greater emphasis on electrical power and sustainable fuels, along with the overhaul power unit regulations that will go into effect in 2026, proved to be a game changer for the American giant. When asked if Ford would have returned if the rules had not been changed for 2026, Ford Global Director Mark Rochbrook said, "No, I don't think we would. If it was a carryover power unit without this opportunity, that would have been a step backwards for us." The change in engine rules for 2026 has sparked renewed interest from car manufacturers in joining the F1 grid, coinciding with the series' ongoing global boom. The updated power units will provide 350 kilowatts of electrical power from the MGU-K, nearly tripling the current output of the MGU-K and MGU-H. F1 cars will also use fully sustainable fuels beginning in 2026, with no impact on the on-track spectacle expected. On the same day as the event, the FIA announced that 6 manufacturers had registered as suppliers for the new rule set, which will take effect in 2026: Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, Audi, Honda, and Red Bull Ford. Red Bull Ford engines will be supplied to both Red Bull Racing and its sister team AlphaTauri thanks to the new partnership in which Ford will combine its technical expertise with the Red Bull powertrains operation in Milton Keynes. Rochbrook explained the significance of Ford and Red Bull's technical collaboration, saying the deal had to go beyond a marketing exercise to be viable. 100% we needed to have that, Rochbrook said of the technical ties. We don't just go racing just as a marketing exercise anywhere, and especially in Formula 1, as the stage that it is, the opportunity to really get that technical learning, it was important for us. Without it, we wouldn't have done it. Red Bull's Ford deal for 2026 also raises serious doubts about Honda's commitment to Formula 1's next generation engine regulations. Despite officially exiting F1 at the end of 2021, Honda continues to manufacture and assemble engines for Red Bull Racing and AlphaTauri. This extension agreement is in place until the end of 2025 and appeared to be extended due to Honda's shift towards wanting to return to F1 officially and even registering its interest in the 2026 rules with the FIA at the end of last year. In addition, as previously stated, the FIA has included Honda on a list of 6 power unit manufacturers that it claims will participate in the 2026 to 2030 rules cycle. Unsurprisingly, given that the Red Bull powertrains engines will now operate under the Ford banner, Honda is unlikely to be involved in their 2026 project in any way. However, Honda is still said to be interested in developing its own F1 engine. It registered its interest with the FIA last year, so it's involved in regulatory discussions around 2026 and has a clear path in if any project is approved by the board. But there must be major questions that must be addressed before that can happen. One of these is how Honda would go about it, given that the most obvious partner is no longer an option. Despite the belief in F1 that it's possible, it has never seemed likely that Honda would set up its own team, and buying into an existing one has often been politely dismissed by those close to Honda as well. The most realistic option is to find another team for which to build an engine, and it's understood that at least one non-Red Bull entity has inquired about Honda's 2026 plans. However, if Honda does decide to return to F1, does it have the resources to do it properly? Though it continues to assist Red Bull's teams under the terms of its 2022 to 2025 agreement, Honda's F1 operation has shrunk. Sakura is said to be operating on a shoestring budget because, as part of the original reason for leaving F1, Honda has shifted many engineers to zero emissions project for the automotive industry. There are also issues such as a lack of ERS infrastructure now that Honda has lost its UK facility. It follows that Honda must recruit and retool its F1 operation as soon as possible in order to have a reasonable timeline leading up to 2026. A decision must be made soon, but even if Honda does decide to commit to F1, it may face challenges. The new cost cap governing engine manufacturers went into effect on January 1st, limiting any capital expenditure. If Honda had made a decision last year, it could have invested more to ensure that it had a fully operational F1 operation without such constraints. But this only highlights one of Honda's most serious long-term flaws in F1, a lack of planning and commitment. Honda is ultimately to blame for its current bizarre situation, in which it remains interested in an F1 return in 2026, despite the fact it hasn't really left, but has pushed its current partner into a long-term plan that another manufacturer can benefit from. It is possible that Honda engines will be on the grid in 2026. However, they're unlikely to be as successful as their current Red Bull collaboration. So what are your thoughts on Red Bull's car launch event? Would you have preferred to see their actual 2023 car? And what about the Ford collaboration? Will it be a success? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications so that you never miss an upload. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.